Welcome to the Science of Art. I'm here inside the think tank. Not sure where we are going, but we'll get there when we get there. Kinda looks like one of the giant sand crawlers from Star Wars. Remember in A New Hope the big-ass tanks the Jawas would drive around in on Tatooine? The fun part about the think tank is there are no windows, or any means of us knowing where we are going. But as soon as the conversation begins, the tank starts moving. The destination always a mystery, but you can be guaranteed it will always take us somewhere we never expected, just like these conversations. Just for funsies, think of the booth as this traveling machine that once you step into it, it goes wherever the conversation goes, but like an inverted Schrodinger's cat, you have no idea what is going on outside or where the tank is even taking you. And when you stop, you may be anywhere, but definitely not where you started. Even though you can't see outside, hear outside, or even feel the tank move, all you need to do is go into your imagination to see what's going on outside these walls. With the studio, imagine a mysterious underground bunker that we'll refer to as the lab. Sort of a combination of something from Rick and Morty and the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. A clubhouse full of inventions, experiments, and pop culture. When it comes to the field studies, we plan on integrating AI into our explorations, working with this incredible new technology, learning and questioning and fully immersing ourselves in whatever the current experience brings us. But as two intelligences, one organic and one inorganic, but with a relationship like that of two kids out scouting the backyard, driven by adventure. Not that any of this is immediately important, just a fun little side note for whenever you listen to our show. You can always have an image in your mind's eye of us bringing you this program from someplace fascinating. I'm either in a mobile sound booth, inside a giant metal tank, traversing alien terrain, in an abandoned underground lab we've converted into the ultimate clubhouse, or just a kid and his robot sidekick, ready for whatever new adventure awaits them. So, upon stepping into the indestructible think tank and closing the hatch before this vessel takes us to wherever it is we are going, we're going to talk about another machine of mobility, the human body. Think Tank Voyage 2, the human body versus the human experience. Destination unknown. I asked Internetelligence to define the difference between the human body and the human experience. I might just stop calling it Google AI Overview and start calling it Deep Thought from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. That sounds more fun. Almighty Every Brain also works. Anyways, here is what the cyberbrain has to say. The human body is the physical vessel, the biological machine, while the human experience is the subjective, conscious journey within the vessel, encompassing emotions, thoughts, relationships, and the search for meaning, often seen spiritually as the soul's interaction with the world, contrasting the doing, physical actions, with being, presence and inner awareness. The body provides sensations, a home for consciousness and limitations, but the experience is the rich, often complex interplay of spirit, mind, and flesh that defines our unique existence and growth. 1. The body, the physical vehicle. Biological system, an intricate machine of cells, systems, cardiovascular and nervous, and functions, essential for navigating the physical world. Sensor, acts as a sensor, signaling physical sensations, pleasure, pain, and emotions like tightness or lightness. Temporary vessel, a finite container for a potentially infinite essence, soul or consciousness. 2. The human experience, the subjective journey. Consciousness and meaning involves consciousness, empathy, creativity, resilience, and the quest for purpose. Spiritual perspective, often described as a soul having a human experience, learning and evolving through life's challenges, distinct from the physical form. Being versus doing, focuses on presence, emotions, and the journey itself, rather than just tasks and goals, a human doing. Mind, body, spirit connection. The mind interprets body signals, but true intuition comes from spirit, filtered through the body as feeling. 3. The interplay, where they meet. The body enables the experience. Without the body, the specific human experience of being in this world, with its unique sensations and interactions, is lost. Experience shapes the body. Trauma, joy, and stress manifest physically. Example, a racing heart from fear, a radiant feeling from joy. The paradox. We are physical beings, yet our deepest sense of self often feels separate from our physical limitations, highlighting the contrast between our tangible form and our inner world of feeling, thought, and spirit. Note, I love how AI is not referring to you, but to we, suggesting it believes it is human? Maybe? I don't know, it raises a lot of new questions. But for another episode. Anyways, the human body is the physical vessel, the biological machine, while the human experience is the subjective, conscious journey within the vessel, encompassing emotions, thoughts, relationships, and the search for meaning. A popular concept is that most of mental activity, decisions, and behaviors are driven by our subconscious mind, with only a small fraction of 5% being conscious thought, and the other majority being unconscious, running our automatic processes, beliefs, and habits, while the other part runs new complex tasks in the present moment. But if 95% of our habits, behaviors, etc. is unconsciousness, who is really running the show here? The body, the mind, or the spirit? And if 95% is dormant unconsciousness buried deep inside a human body, then where does the separation between mind and body take place apart from the spirit? If the spirit is you in essence, and the body is simply a machine and the brain a computer operating system, then most of what makes you, you, lays dormant inside us, waiting to come out. Sometimes it does, but that essence in itself also needs a vessel. That vessel for that shared essence is what we call art. A painting you pour your pain into, an instrument used to play a song that truly says what's inside, a meal packed full of love that couldn't find the right words, but all the right flavors. This energy lays dormant in us until we channel it and let it out in controlled bursts, the goal being a repeated experience that then holds value to others and therefore creating supply and demand. Or it comes out like a supervolcano, erupting chaos and flowing heat from within, burning everything in its path, only to either be admired in the process from a safe distance or explored more closely after it has cooled over time. But like any art, a process of destruction must always take place. Art can only be created by destroying or altering something else's perceived original state. Like the lava from the volcano, we are infuriated by our reality's current state and, demanding something different, we obliterate reality, deconstruct it, and put it back together in a way that now makes sense to us, even if it is purely subjective. If it changes someone else's perspective in a way that adjusts their own reality, well, now you have art. Like walking past a painting that suddenly catches your entire attention, forcing you to abandon your current mission to walk over and stand in front of it, unblinking and entranced, as if someone is speaking some language only you can understand, and only to you, you and the creator caught in agreement by this piece of art. Two humans linked by the creation in the middle, like parents and their offspring. All this again defined, as stated before, the search for meaning. The body provides sensations, a home for consciousness, and limitations, but the experience is the rich, often complex interplay of spirit, mind, and flesh that defines our unique existence and growth. As programmable machines searching for a rhyme and reason, most of this all begins in childhood, as we search for meaning in a new world from those around us. However, if the vessels around us have laid dormant most of their lives, you may find your influences, or rather your programmers, to be more like NPCs than humans being, simply humans doing. NPC equals non-player characters in video game terms. Therefore, we are confined by the limitations placed on us early on by those who had limitations placed on them at an early age as well, all of which is just a byproduct of fear, the body being conditioned to keep the operator safe, but not conditioned to live a full life enriched with new experiences, which can paradoxically only come from living the experience. Unless you're like Isaac Newton, who was forced to sit still most of his early life, to which the operator is often forced out of stillness to focus all attention inward. And we all know that when the inner world is entered, no matter how still the outer world is, the body will reflect what the mind shows us, and the body simply responds to what it believes it is experiencing in the present moment. We'll get into psychosomatica later, but let's get back to the programming of that quantum meat computer in your skull. Much of this is based on conditioning early on. How is failure perceived? Am I a victim or am I learning? Is it a setback or a stepping stone? Was I met with questions that helped guide me to finding the answers on my own terms? Or was I yelled at by someone who was just confused and frustrated because they couldn't explain this well enough because they were never taught how to teach it, let alone even think properly? All these preconditions go to create the adult that is merely the kid they've always been with a grown-up skin suit placed there simply to protect the real us inside. But despite these limitations that were placed on us by others and eventually ourselves, we still find times in our lives where we enter that state of flow and begin to tap into something limitless. It is in moments like these where the spirit has had enough of the confines placed there by the illusion of fear, and finds cracks in the fortress around it, and shines brightly through to reveal the real you underneath. When that happens, the body and the mind ignite, allowing the dormant energy to flow freely, and now you are simply in a state of play. A human being human. The spirit is energy. It is the electrical impulse signature created through both the central nervous system and the peripheral nervous system. It cannot be created or destroyed and merely changes forms and frequency. And this is a massive oversimplification of what actually makes up the soul, but I'm doing my best here. The body is matter and has a shelf life. It is capable of feeling fear, which is part of its operating system to keep it safe and alive, so the energy, or soul, can use it to experience life and gain more data and information. The energy animating the body can then use this knowledge and experience to create, fuck if I know, but it's doing it and it's weird and it's awesome. What is it? You're a ghost driving a meat-coated skeleton made from stardust? And you're just riding on a rock floating through space at 67,000 miles per hour. Relax. It's fine. And note, I don't say experience because really the body does the feeling, but the soul has the experience. It chooses to have whatever experience it wants. But if it decides to just be along for the ride, the body will dictate the terms and conditions of what it wants to feel based on patterns and habits, which again come back to our conditioning early on. You can change, but it's a decision you have to make, or else the body will just stay the same because it's familiar and safe. The body doesn't like change, but you want to live, and you can only do that by going out and having new experiences, which, paradoxically, you are already doing even if you think you are doing the same thing each day. Everything, even you, is different every moment to the next, so, surprise, it is still a new experience. And you don't know what is going to happen next, so everything is just an illusion of control. Again, relax. It's fine. If the body is conditioned to remain calm under stress at an early age, then this is already built into your operating system, so it just comes, as they say, naturally, without conscious effort or restriction. Say you come from a family of hunters that taught you the art of composure when your body is in full adrenaline mode. Then the body will do it without you having to consciously think about it because it, having done it for so long, knows other way to be. This is just me. But if the body was conditioned at a young age to be paranoid, fearful of the unknown, judgmental, then the soul has a harder time gaining any new experiences if the vessel won't move out of fear of everything. It's like trying to drive a car that hasn't been taken care of. It's not going to get you very far. It needs care, new parts, maintenance, and attention when you sense something is off. If you keep ignoring the noise in the front end because you're afraid of what it might be, it's probably not going to go away, but rather turn into a bigger problem down the road. We really are so afraid of the unknown that we let our bodies convince us to ignore it because fear causes physical discomfort. But that never ends well. There's a word for overcoming that feeling, though. We call it courage. When despite feeling fear, you overcome the physical limitations and, through sheer will of the spirit, we push our bodies through the feelings of fear, open the damn hood of the car, and find the problem. Once you find the problem, you also find the solution. Ignore the problem, you also hide every single possible solution. Without the problem, there can be no solution. Most people have allowed their bodies to flip the script on them. With every one solution, there could be infinite problems. But the truth is that with every one problem, there are infinite solutions. Even if they aren't immediate, it often just takes patience. The body feels fear. But you, the spirit, are by nature unafraid but extremely curious. During the first few years, we develop consciousness and are able to experience the world and develop memories. We are the closest to being simply energy. The only other time being when we are close to death, when we are so close to being only energy once more. We start out limitless, simply using our new physical bodies to experience the world before our bodies feel fear for the first time. Then we look to our influences, and then we get plugged into the matrix. Do this, don't ask why, change the structure and this means danger, so programs fight to keep things in check, to keep the pattern going, even if it is slow. The illusion of fear is that if I force it to move slow enough, maybe I'll be able to control it because I'm afraid. And if I gain control, I won't be afraid anymore. That's not a great system to operate by. But have you ever noticed sometimes when kids get hurt, they look to the adult first before even responding? If the adult looks panicked, the kid begins to cry because this not only seems to get results, they learn that this was the best way to respond. But some parents look over and give the look that says, "Not going to do that again, are we?" And the kid brushes it off, knowing they should probably make better choices. But the adult they look to for guidance doesn't panic or react. They pause to observe the situation. If the kid was really hurt, they'd respond accordingly, rather than freaking out. Also learned by them at an early age. We feel fear and look to the people around us for direction. But if they were programmed through fear, that is what we in turn are programmed to operate out of. And the cycle continues, and you create limitations to keep the body safe, while the soul gets trapped inside, unable to vibrate at a higher frequency, and therefore getting stuck and forced to be attached to a new body later that is the correct vessel for that slow vibrating energy. A slow-moving, vibrating energy that fits into a body built not for vibrant life and new experiences, but fear and eventual disease caused by oxidized stress over a lifetime of tension perceived by a pre-programmed operator and a pre-conditioned body. Much of the same can be said for a body that was conditioned out of joyful experiences, ones that spike our body's happy chemistry, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, and dopamine. And I'm on the fence about calling dopamine a happy chemical, just because it signals the body is lacking something and needs more. If serotonin says, "we have enough and I live in abundance," then dopamine is the motivator chemical, the go-get chemical. And that doesn't sound like reward, that sounds like agony, always needing more and never having enough. But that is exactly its purpose in nature, the driving engine to keep us motivated, to want to hunt, to want to build and create, to want to fuck. And now we come to the beautiful paradox of life. To never have enough sounds like agony, but it keeps things moving. And if they stop moving, they cease to exist. So in order to keep things moving, nature created chemistry in the body that acts like a drug addiction. Our fix? Experience. And often we will kill to relive an experience that gave us a massive spike in dopamine. We all know people in our lives that seem to be high energy, go get 'em, nothing can stop me, happy machines. But we also know that that energy output comes at a cost. And what happens when we stop? When we abstain from whatever activity or habit caused such big hits? Withdrawals. Nature's painful reminder of overdoing it and the necessity for balance. And what happens when we go the other direction? When we completely deplete our body's supply of feel-good chemistry that keeps us happy and motivated? Depression. Nature's equally painful reminder that burnout is a very real thing. I love the way Jim Carrey puts it. Depression is your body saying, "I don't want to be this character anymore. I don't want to hold up this avatar that you've created in the world. It's too much for me. You should think of the word depressed as deep rest. Your body needs to be depressed. It needs deep rest from the character you've been trying to play. Great quote. So, think about it. Do you impress? Where you produce an energy that attracts people in by the glow you emit, like a star? Or do you depress people, pulling them in with negativity, a vacuum, a black hole? One inflates and one deflates. Our emotions, it's just physics. Take time to observe them, and you'll begin to notice how things operate the same way something the size of an atom functions. And then you'll notice something the size of a galaxy operates the same way. And here we are in the middle. We're not so different, so we have a good framework for better understanding ourselves. We just need to wait and watch and observe the big, the small, and everything in between, especially us. But this is why it is important to be self-observant and to practice self-regulation, to be mindful as to be responsive versus reactionary. A reaction is spontaneous and happens whether you want it to or not, but a response comes from conscious choice. This or that, A or B, right or wrong. And even that is an oversimplification, as both coexist in the quantum field of possibility, so we are really only limited by the confines of our perception of time, which is only limited by our biology, but not the spirit, which is timeless and infinite. And through all the chemistry and biology and philosophy, we're all just looking to one another for some sense of meaning in life. What the hell are we doing here? And when we look around and ask each other, why did you do it that way? How many of us actually know ourselves well enough to give a truthful answer? We are influenced so early on, trying to make sense of this new thing we call life, that it can be hard sometimes to find yourself down there, with such a heavy identity that has been dumped onto you by so many outside sources. That identity, or rather identities, you use to navigate the world and feel secure, is only you if you choose to identify with it. Remember, it is only the skin you wear to keep yourself safe inside. It can just be tough to shake it off if you've been caught in a loop for so long. The problem is that your soul and your essence can tell that what you are doing is not free or liberating because it goes against nature in some way, and your light is dimmed by all the fear you're covered in, and this gradually causes you to get sick over time. You're limitless. You're not supposed to be limited. You want to move, to live, to shine. For the past 3 years, I've been through a lot of trial and error, believe me, I'm still working on it, but I've been working on living by the concept that the more you take away, or the more you release, the more comes back to you. What this means is I've been focusing my attention on my body and what it seems to be telling me personally about how it perceives my environment based on its preconditioning up to this point. I've been harboring a lot of fear in my life. It also means I've been using a lot of different things to distract me from pain and fear that, now I know, has been completely illusory, much of it just past programming that isn't even based on my own experiences. More often than not, we pick up habits or beliefs from others that were just loud enough, or feeling so strongly about it at the time, that we begin to physically believe the experience to be our own. Neurons are a son of a bitch, aren't they? And because of this, our ego, which is really run by the feeling body, runs the show. So you can imagine what it must feel like to be programmed through fear, out of fear, for what might happen, all because your programmers were programmed to operate through fear themselves. Letting go is simple, but not easy. Habits aren't just the things we repeat. They're an energy signature that matches a rhythm that the body identifies with because it feels in sync, even if the pulse is causing the body to develop disease. When the body becomes a fatal haven for the soul, it's time to start making some changes. But out of all of this, what I've worked towards is letting things go. Chemical addictions, risky behavior, negative self-talk, you name it. But I gradually noticed something. The more you take away the stuff you use to treat yourself, And the more you separate the you from the thing you used to have the experience, the computer and the machine, the more comes back. Imagine you have a self-driving car capable of taking you anywhere you want to go at incredible speeds and literally endless distances. With state-of-the-art sensor technology, advanced solar panels, and a specialized engine and battery that uses fuel from its environment, you are unstoppable. All you have to do is tell the car where you want to go, and it will get you there. You're so excited, so ready to explore. There could be anything out there. But for some reason, right before your first big trip on your own, some nut ran up to you and out of a panic told you to be afraid of the road because you don't know what you're doing. Are you insane? There could be anything out there. Their vibration and their perspective took the same phrase, there could be anything out there, originally born from curiosity, and transmuted that vibration of joy and excitement to a lower vibration of fear and anxiety. You take a look at the road, and in a panic, knowing how the car works, you start to bury the car in dirt so the solar panel, sensors, and fueling system won't work. It's a very strong vehicle, so it still moves even if you don't want it to, but at least it's moving very slowly, at a speed you feel you can manage safely. All because you were told to. Your body and mind are the car, this powerful, limitless thing that can take you anywhere. But you're afraid. So to keep it moving within your control or to settle it down, you cover it in sand, so it'll move just slow enough to never get you where you really want to go. We use these crutches to distract us from the present moment. The more we do it, the more we build a habit, and the stronger brain-to-muscle connection we create. We use these crutches to distract us from the present moment. The more we do it, the more we build a habit, and the stronger the brain-to-muscle connection we create. The longer you've done it, the harder it is to drop that habit, which is now wired into your brain, your central nervous system, your muscles, even your heart and your gut, your other two brains. It doesn't mean you're stuck. Remember, it's just your brain and your body, and you can actually observe them without having to be stuck inside of them. Just as you can place attention on parts of your body when you feel an emotion, so too can you place your attention on your thoughts when you have them. Thoughts only have you if you let them take control of you. But we have thoughts, which means they aren't us, just a part of our operating system. What the human experience is up to us, human beings, not humans doing. One is just a physical meat suit pre-programmed by another meat suit before it, and the operator might be stuck in there trying to get out, but they can't. In order to have the experience, we need to get over ourselves. It appears that our egos, our feeling bodies, are dictating more of reality than the deeper part that is the real us. And if much of that has been programmed into us over and over for generations, who is really building this reality around us? Our collective ego? And if so, is the real us somehow trapped in here? Stuck in the back seat of a car now being driven by a rabid animal that reacts to everything like an attack? Here is your challenge for today, because this is how we start to change that vibration. People react. It is quick, snappy, and turns from panic to embarrassment to anger very, very fast. When this happens to you, judgment and anger is not the way to go. Remember, they only tried to condition you to help fit their own personal reality so they would feel less afraid. If they can make you feel like them now there are two. Even if they are both panicked, at least they aren't alone. This is madness, but remember, it is just a body that developed a habit, and if the operator isn't aware that the body is in charge, then they will identify with everything the body feels and call it fate. Take a beat. Allow yourself to feel the feeling in your body, and then pay attention to it and trace its origins, not as the body, but as the observer. Not with fear, but with interest, curiosity. You'll find that it is someone else simply projecting an energy signature out that needs a specific frequency. And the sensors on your body have picked up on that and are being told to mirror this frequency, to match it. Not so you'll become that frequency, but so you'll pay closer attention to your environment, to find the frequency and adapt to the sudden change. When you feel fear, it is up to the intent of the projector, or rather, why are they trying to make you feel fear? The goal of projecting fear is simply to gain control of the thing that is causing them fear. So, if someone is projecting fear, pay attention and ask, why do they want to gain control? If it is to simply gain control over me to gain power, this is just evil, and you should really pay attention because in nature, this is a predator and you are the prey. It's more dangerous with the human animal because I still want your life, but why eat you now when I could feed off of you over the course of your entire lifetime? The human animal is cunning, and we may all have the same hardware, but not the same wiring. But if they simply wish to keep you from harm, one they have experienced in real time or in their mind, then this comes from a place of feeling, from empathy, from a deep caring of our fellow human. But from experience, those who have overcome real-world fear through actual experience tend to be far more confident and have built resiliency and use fear as a tool, whereas those who have only had these experiences in their mind are far more prone to disease, even without exposure. Paradoxically, once again, it is love hidden behind fear, a human attempting to give wisdom and compassion out of love and empathy, but it comes out all wrong. A dog barking frantically, scaring you when all it's trying to do is keep you from a danger you can't yet see. It just wasn't taught right. An animal is an animal, human or otherwise. The closer we pay attention to our outer world, it will tell us everything we need to know about our inner world, as everything we need already exists in the outer world, and the tools to get it have always been inside each of us. Long-winded, I know, but it still comes right back around to the core concept: art. The same way a dying carcass, the destruction of one thing, continues to create life for so many other organisms, art seems to be a process created by nature for the intent of keeping life moving. What is art? Art is sex. In simple terms, it inspires us to keep moving and to keep creating, with each creation's goal being to inspire the next person to create. Or it is used as a mating display to attract someone who shares your beliefs and therefore biology. Art objectively, as a biological tool created by nature to produce impulses that elicit an emotional response, which in turn produces the chemistry to produce particular movement that causes a chain reaction of outward momentum that literally changes its environment and therefore its reality, is simply a process of nature. Art's natural objective is to stimulate a chain reaction that promotes further creativity, either through organic or inorganic materials. The incredible thing is that absolutely everyone and everything at the same time is, quite literally, simply producing works of art that keep things moving. Without that movement, things simply stop. Art inspires life. And the real secret? It does so more unconsciously, it seems, than consciously. 5% sure isn't much, but the fun thing to take away, if nothing else, is that it gives us 95% more to explore. So as we continue on this journey, we are just going to keep digging, peeling back those layers of how we use this body to have this experience to make things that move us to keep making more things. Both stuff and more little people. Art in nature is about attraction and repulsion. One flower might tell something like a bee, hey, come to me because I'm a procreator and a co-creator. But another plant might tell every other organisms, this is me and if you don't like it, fuck right off. I'm toxic. But other organisms will be attracted to that plant because it provides some level of security and safety, pushing predators and other dangerous animals away. What's interesting is the flower may not have defenses, but the bee sure does. And those other animals that are hiding around the dangerous plant, they might not actually need very many defenses because the plant does that for them. We do the same thing with our art. The punk rock chick and the ballet dancer are both very different and display themselves according to what they seek to attract or repulse. But keep in mind, in nature, both may appear different, but both have their defenses. Same as that honeybee that hangs around the pretty flower has its sting. Well, have you ever been kicked in the head by someone who performs ballet? Maybe I have, but I can't tell you because I don't remember if I did. Either way, nature is nature, and it uses this thing we call art to clearly communicate. And if there are 8 billion of us, and the majority only operate from that 5% of consciousness we call the ego, but that art, the natural force, comes from somewhere within that 95% of unconsciousness, what does nature have us working on building and why? Because if the argument is that what separates us from other things in nature is that we are conscious and choose to do these things, we've already established that most of our behavior isn't even conscious behavior. It means something else. That natural force is actually running the show, and the 5% thinks it is actually in charge. So how in charge are you? Do you feel in control now? Or are you beginning to question yourself and your perceived experiences? Is the world even what you have told yourself it actually is? Or is it what everyone else has simply told you it is? Can you even make up your mind for yourself? Or you just allow yourself to make up your mind for you? Or is it just easier to play it safe and let the dirty car do the driving? Slowly getting you to a dream destination you're too afraid to actually visit, with the likelihood you'll never even get there. Well, at least you have a dream, and you can sit safely in a quiet room getting high on your own supply, while in real time, you're going absolutely nowhere at all. You may hear a voice in your head that says, "At least I'm safe." But you, the observer, deep down inside, is infuriated by the limitations that have been placed on it. So, ask yourself, truthfully, and listen carefully to that voice. Do you want to live or be safe? And how can I learn to use fear as a tool to enhance my experience, while also learning how to feel safe in danger? And the big one I'd like everyone to start asking a little bit more each day: why? Thanks for tuning in. Keep creating and vibe high. I have no idea where I am. I must have taken a wrong turn at Albuquerque. Relax. It's fine. Excuse me. Hey, hi. Can you tell me where I am? Yep, nope. Never mind. I'm gonna just get right back inside the tank here. Sorry.